What up, what up, what up? It's your boy, Cardinal Red, and we back for some more of that Ali Land boxing talk, people. And today we talking the death of boxing, the Floyd Mayweather effect. Alright, people, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on the whole situation just surrounding, what Mayweather's kind of done to the sport of boxing. I feel like, the sport is dying in a way, it's kind of slowly fading away. And I think most of this is an effect of what Mayweather has changed in the sport. He's to me. I mean, he's done something good for the sport as far as bringing higher purses, fight purses to the game. But he's done it in a backhanded, kind of way. He hasn't actually given anything back to the sport, other than guys can get more money for doing less. I feel like he's kind of taken away from the sport, Fighters back in the day, they gave a piece of themselves to the sport. They gave a piece of themselves to the fans. They gave a piece of themselves to push the sport into the next generation. And you could say that, he's one of those type of guys who doesn't want to suffer in old age. And nobody wants to suffer in old age, man, but nobody wants to suffer as well because they support you. Nobody wants to suffer as a fan of boxing. Nobody wants to suffer as a fan of Mayweather. I know a lot of people support him because of his foolishness, because of his antics. A lot of black people support him because they just want to support somebody else black, who made it, But at what cost are we supporting Floyd Mayweather? At what cost to the sport of boxing are we supporting this guy, keeping him afloat, and he's not actually giving any, and I hate to be that guy who's kind of like, just ishing on Mayweather just to be ishing on him, but it's kind of, it's just the truth, man. Ever since they put him at the top of the game it's just been suffering the whole time. Ever since he's been the guy who's so-called at the top, the TBE, whatever you want to call him, the actual fight game has seriously declined, And now with this whole Gucci incident, it really shines a light just on what type of person Mayweather really is, what type of personality he has, how he'll use anything to make himself a dollar. And I understand, man, everybody got a family to feed. The man's a father, and, he's got millionaire bills and millionaire problems. But as a boxing fan, I feel like I'm suffering because of him. I feel like as a boxing fan, I never get what I want because of Mayweather. I feel like as a boxing fan, the fights I want to see him in, even as a fan, I'm not a fan of Mayweather, but maybe I could be if he actually fought the people I wanted to see him fight. Maybe I could be if he actually made it worth watching him. Maybe I could be a fan of Mayweather if he was actually entertaining. And all of this just leads back to, the decline of the sport of boxing. What it's done to the mentality of the young fighters, to where these guys, they do not and will not match up with the next guy. You know, they will not match up with. You don't see one and two fighting each other uh, like they used to. You know, there was a system to boxing. There used to be a system to boxing to where if you're a champion, the guy behind you gets his shot. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're in the top five, there was a way they matched people up so the fans got the best fights. And ever since money started, and I don't mean Mayweather, I mean actual money. Ever since actual money started to run the game, and because of Mayweather, which is a good thing, but it's kind of ruined the sport. It's these guys are only doing this for money. They're not. They'll sell you a fight uh, on the idea that it's an actual good fight. Everybody behind the scenes knows that it's not a good fight. It's just a way for these guys to make money off of impressionable fans and fans who really want to see something that they're never going to get. And it's just, especially with the young guys, man, you wouldn't think that the young guys would be following. A guy 40 years old, I don't blame Mayweather for not wanting to be the old, beat up fighter. I don't blame him for saying, you know what, this is an easier way for me to make money and, and still be able to entertain the people who want to see me and maybe even introduce me to a new crowd overseas. But what about the actual hardcore fans of boxing? Not just the people who are just interested in you and, wanting to use your name to build somebody else's name off of. What about the people who actually are into the sport of boxing? What about the people who feel like what you're not giving to the game is contributing to the downfall of boxing? Like, at what point, Manny Pacquiao can't always be the savior, man, and these guys are about to bow out of the sport. Where does boxing? It's sad in a way, man. Where does boxing go from her? We shouldn't be still in 2019 going into 2020. We still shouldn't be expecting Manny Pacquiao to be taking all these risky fights just to entertain us, man. At this point, he should be on cruise control to retirement. He shouldn't be. He actually, because of the wars he's been through, he should actually be doing what Mayweather's doing, and Mayweather should be in his position to where he should have to take all these hard fights because he's had such a lackluster, easy road in his career because he's cherry picked most of his fights. And because, he just hasn't given anything he's gotten so much from the sport, but he hasn't really given anything back to the sport. And as a fan, man, I'm just really disappointed, man. I hate that Pacquiao has to be the guy who's still carrying the sport. I hate that these young guys are not sellable. I hate that Pacquiao's in a position now to where he might have to take a seriously risky fight, not just for the sake of he signed a new contract, not just for the sake of him trying to give the fans what they want, but for the sake of boxing as a whole. Manny Pacquiao is almost the savior of boxing. He's the only guy willing to take a risk to give fans what they want. Nobody else is out here, with the exception of a few guys who probably don't get any attention. Nobody else is out here trying to push the sport forward. Not trying to take it in the direction where Mayweather's taking it, to where it's not even boxing anymore. It's just exhibitions and how many dollars can I get out of these people before they sick of this sport and everybody goes over to MMA. And I almost feel like he's doing it because he feels like MMA is where all the money's at, and if he can fight low tier MMA fighters, it still brings a new crowd of people into it because they want to see something maybe off the wall, or they want to see something some antic like Mike Tyson used to do. When he was going through his situations in boxing. They want to see something crazy. Maybe one of these guys kick him. It's the only reason they tuning in is because they want to see him catch an elbow or a back kick. Somebody put him in some wrist lock or something because because they don't know what else to do. And at this point, it's making me sick as a fan, man. Really, it is making me sick as a fan, and it shouldn't be this way. I don't know where boxing goes from here. I don't know. Is boxing going to be around in 5 years? And I really mean that. Is boxing going to be the same sport in 5 years that it was 10 years ago? Because it's not the same sport today that it was 10 years ago. It is definitely not the same sport today it was 10 years ago. There's no way you can compare a Manny Pacquiao versus Eric Morales to a Mayweather versus Tashin, or there's no way you can compare a Roy Jones getting knocked out by who knocked him out? God, I can't think of his name. Antonio Tarver. Even that fight, it was a great fight, man. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting great fights anymore. We're not getting these historic events anymore. We're not getting these passing of the torch fights anymore to push the young guys forward. We're only getting selfish old fighters that want to milk these fans for everything they got and whatever little penny they got in their pocket. And it's sad that fans still support, this garbage, this trash. In no way would I ever spend my last or even my, millionth dollar if I had it in the bank to support Mayweather. People are sitting around boycotting Gucci and all this, we should be boycotting Mayweather as a boxing fan. Nobody should support anything Mayweather does. If he puts on an event, nobody should show up. If he does an interview, nobody should watch it. If he puts on another one of these exhibitions, nobody should tune in. You should send him a hardcore message that either you're gonna give us as fight fans what we want, or you're not gonna be around the sport of boxing anymore, because what you're doing is seriously hurting the sport. And you're teaching younger guys to be just like you, and you're not giving them the good parts of what you brought to the game, which is the ability to make money. That's all you're giving them, is the ability to make money. You're not giving them the ability to make money and to share it with the fans. I said earlier that the old fighters gave fans a piece of themselves, and I feel like they did that because back in the day it wasn't this much money in the sport of boxing, and to get people to tune in, you had to give them a piece of yourself. Now these guys are making ridiculous amounts of money, and fans are the only ones losing out, man. So if nobody else is gonna say it, man, I say it, man. People need to start boycotting this trash, man, and just stop tuning in and stop supporting it, because we are as boxing fans, we're hindering the sport from moving forward. We as boxing fans are keeping the sport from moving forward because we're supporting stuff a product that shouldn't be supported anymore. And at some point, we're just gonna have to go, man. You know what? It's time to move on to something new. I love Manny Pacquiao, but I do not want to see Manny Pacquiao risk himself to be the guy to move the sport forward. It's time for the young guys to move the sport forward. It's time for these young fighters to be able to reach the heights of a Mayweather Pacquiao. And it's almost time for these guys to push themselves out of the sport, because when you got guys only doing it for money, and you got guys like Pacquiao trying to hold the sport up all by himself, he can't do it by himself, man. You can't expect Pacquiao to do it all by himself, man. It's really getting sickening, man. But let me know what y'all think, man, down in the comment section. I don't want to ramble on too long. Hit that like button for me, and please subscribe. If you know any homeless people, man, 1 minute in your life and some leftovers could really change your life. So give up a minute and change your life. And if you ain't got nothing else to tell them about, just tell them about boxing. Ali Land Boxing Talk, Cardinal Red, and we are the